The Dory Monson Show on Cairo Radio. This is The Big Lead.
Coming to you from the Carter Subaru Studios. Welcome to The Big Show. I just got off the phone with one of the strongest people I've ever talked to. And I'm going to play it for you right now here in The Big Lead. But let me give you some context here. And let's get right into our Big Lead today.
The Big Lead, Dory Monson Show exclusive.
We're on the wrong path in this city, in this region. We are attracting homeless people from all around the country up to the Puget Sound area. And the numbers of who's out there at Q13 Fox, they did a breakdown of the homeless sex offenders who are in this region.
The sheriff's departments in each of these counties says King County has 352 homeless sex offenders. Snohomish County has 120, and Pierce County has 172. Now, these are the sex offenders that don't necessarily have a house where they register. They register at the sheriff's department. As long as they check in, they don't get a warrant for their arrest.
Okay, so those are the homeless sex offenders in our region. And we're seeing how this is manifesting itself. We have politicians who have turned our city and our region into the nation's dumping ground. Have you flown into Seattle recently and looked down at just how many blue tarps there are? As you are landing, if you are landing from the north, you see blue tarps everywhere. And homelessness is a really complex problem. But just attracting all of the homeless from around the country to this region is not compassion. Or let me be more specific. We have to start showing compassion for some of the victims of some of the criminals who are among the homeless population. And we have seen in just the last 2 weeks the stories of the 13, 14, 16-year-old girls being raped and turned out for sex in the downtown Seattle homeless encampment. 13-year-old children from across the country coming to Seattle and then being turned out for sex. And we got 4 members of the city council who said we shouldn't clear out that encampment because it wouldn't be compassionate. And then the stories just continued. 21-year-old girl at the University of Washington raped in her apartment last week by a homeless man. 50-something woman a few days ago at White Center, brutally raped. Beyond recognition, the attack. Or brutally attacked with suspicion of rape. But she was beaten beyond recognition. A 21-year-old homeless man was the attacker. And then there's what happened at Golden Gardens on Sunday afternoon. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Where a woman went into that bathhouse, the brick bathhouse at Golden Gardens, to use the restroom. And she was brutally attacked by a homeless sex offender who had multiple sex offenses down in Maricopa County, down in Clark County. And of course, Seattle was the place that needed to be his destination, because this is the city of plenty for the homeless. The attacker at Golden Gardens on Sunday afternoon, his name is Gary Steiner. Gary Steiner, if you saw his mugshot, creepy-looking guy, but he was pretty cut up, too, because his would-be victim fought back valiantly against this guy. And maybe you've heard the story of Gary Steiner. Maybe you've heard about all of his sex offenses around the country and how he just ended up in Seattle. What you have not heard is his victim story. Her name is Kelly, and she joins us here on Cairo Radio. Kelly, thank you so much for coming on with me this afternoon.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Tell me, just kind of walk me through chronologically what went down Sunday afternoon.
Sure. Well, I'm currently in training for a marathon, and that requires long runs on Sunday. So I was on a 10-mile run, and I was about 4 miles in and stopped to running through Golden Gardens, enjoying the day, and stopped to use the restroom. When I got in there, I don't know if you've been in the bathrooms at Golden Gardens, but
I grew up right next to there, so yeah, I've been there often.
Yeah, not always the cleanest facilities. It's right on the beach, so got in and kind of evaluated which stall I wanted to use, which one I thought might be the cleanest. Thankfully, I opted for the first stall, and when I was done, I went to wash my hands, and in retrospect, I'm like, why did I even wash my hands? And used the hand dryer. It felt great because it was a cold day.
Yeah.
Turned around. I was shocked that there was another person in the bathroom. Quickly realized it was someone who did not belong in the bathroom. And I mean, it all went down so fast. He attacked me, took me down to the ground instantly. And I just started fighting back, and can't play on the air exactly what I said to him, but I was repeatedly screaming, "Not today!" expletive.
Yeah.
Kind of my ongoing battle cry throughout. And he kept trying to turn me over onto my stomach, which, as a woman, you are conditioned to know that's what happens before, you're raped. So I was truly fighting for my life. Scrambled underneath the middle stall, and kicked my foot up to try to lock the stall door, and ended up actually jamming the door. He got into the stall anyway. He came in the side the same way that I did, and I was just screaming at him and clawing his face. Thankfully, I had just taken a self-defense class 3 weeks ago.
Really? Wow.
So I used everything I learned. Time stopped. I went through everything we learned in self-defense. I was screaming, hitting him with the side of my hand, scratching his face, telling him that he was not going to get me today, screaming I was going to kill him, and I just never stopped fighting. He got on top of me and started hitting my face, and I was able to pull myself out through the front of the stall because at that point I had jammed the stall door shut. And just as I was about to lose consciousness, I got one more just adrenaline spike and was able to get to the door and get out, and he was stuck inside the second stall. And there's a latch on the outside of the public restroom there at Golden Gardens, and a few minutes later, a guy came by who had a carabiner, so we locked him in from the outside as well. But my understanding is they found him still. They had to break down the door of the second stall to get him out.
Man, I mean, it is such. Look, I'm the father of 3 daughters who are in their 20s. And, there's so many aspects of your story that people need to know. And the one is the ferocity with which you fought this guy, because that is so important in defending yourself against people like this. And I'm so grateful that you are sharing that story, because that's what you had to do in that situation, quite clearly.
Absolutely. And the class that I took through Fighting Chance Seattle, and that's the one thing I really took away is if you can be basically more trouble than you're worth, just to make it as difficult as possible. And if someone's after your phone or your wallet, just give them your phone or your wallet. But if they're after you, you never stop fighting, you never give up, and you just have to do everything, just fight for your life.
Can I ask the size disparity? How big a guy is Gary Steiner, and how big a gal are you?
Yeah, so I'm about 5'8", and I'm lean. I'm a runner. By no means small or big, just your general average.